Part 5. Our sweet paradise was disrupted by Bai Xuelan. When I woke up, I was already lying in a single ward of Xuan Hospital. The bright white walls were hung with new large light cyan curtains. And a peach blossom with dew in it was placed in a glass vase beside the bed, looking pitifully beautiful. Xuan Huaifeng couldn't help but take a second look, and suddenly heard someone ask, "Do you like it? I specially asked someone to pick it from the mountains outside the city. You woke up as soon as I inserted it." Xuan Huaifeng turned around. Lin Qijun wore a white shirt and emerged from behind the curtain cleanly and refreshingly. He held a fruit knife in one hand and a half-cut apple in the other. He walked to the bedside, looked at Xuan Huaifeng's face, and put down the knife. He and Apple poured a glass of warm water for Xuan Huaifeng to drink and said, "Wait for me for a while. By the way." He sat down on the chair next to the bed, boiled the peeled apple with hot water, cut it into small pieces, poked a piece with a toothpick, and handed it to Xuan Huaifeng's mouth. "The doctor said it's not nutritious enough, so I need to eat more fruits." Xuan Huaifeng said, "I don't love apples." Qijun looked at him with a smile. "I finally finished peeling it. And I'm still waiting to feed you. Don't you want to show me some respect?" Xuan Huaifeng smiled, opened his mouth to take it, and chewed it slowly. The apples were crunchy and sweet, and the crackling sound when biting them was particularly pleasant. He never liked eating them, but occasionally he took a bite like this, but he felt good about it. It left a fragrance on his lips and teeth. Lin Qijun kept looking at him with a smile, waited patiently for him to finish, and then fed him another small piece. Before I knew it, I had finished feeding an entire apple. Lin Qijun asked, "Do you want more? I'll cut another one." Xuan Huaifeng shook his head. Lin Qijun added, "The food in the hospital is very bad. I asked a servant to cook porridge for you in the mansion, but it hasn't been delivered yet. These people are not careless in their work. I will make a call right now to urge you. Stand up to make a call." Xuan Huaifeng stopped him and said, "I just finished eating an apple, and you are urging me to make porridge again. Do you want to strangle me to death?" Lin Qijun had no choice but to sit down, spread his hands, and said awkwardly, "I have never taken care of a patient. What else can I do except feed the patient?" Xuan Huaifeng asked, "Can't you chat with me?" Lin Qijun said, "If you want to chat, of course I will accompany you." Xuan Huaifeng said, "It's too hard for me to speak at such a distance. Please sit beside my bed." They had been very close since they were classmates. Lin Qijun agreed, went behind the curtain to wash his hands with water in the kettle, came back and sat beside Xuan Huaifeng's bed, and asked him again, "Do you want to sit up a little bit?" Xuan Huaifeng nodded. Lin Qijun helped him up a little, put the pillow upright, and let half of his upper body rest on his arm. The two chatted intimately and talked about what happened after they said goodbye. Lin Qijun asked, "Didn't you go to study in the UK? When did you return to China? When did you arrive in the capital? I didn't hear any news." Xuan Huaifeng asked him, "My father has passed away and you are in Guangdong. Don't you know?" Lin Qijun said, "Of course I know this. When my uncle passed away, I went to your house to express my condolences on behalf of my father. At that time, your second mother and third brother were the only ones at home. I also asked her if you would return to China and asked her to wait for you to come back. Please give me a message, but there has been no news from you. Huaifeng, why are you so sick on the street?" Xuan Huaifeng was silent for a moment, then asked with a wry smile, "Looking at me like this, can't you guess it? In this world, you don't know what will happen tomorrow, and no one can guess when you will be down and out." Lin Qijun was a little surprised. "That's not true, is it? My uncle has been operating in Guangdong for these years, how come he didn't leave you anything?" Xuan Huaifeng said, when something happened to him, my sister got married, and I was in England. So I couldn't reach her. When I rushed back, everything fell into the hands of my second mother. I was not born to her, so naturally there was nothing left for me. In addition to a few boxes of old books, some clothes from my past, and $1,000. Lin Qijun said angrily, she is so inhumane. With such a big family. Why would she just kick the eldest son out of the house like this? Xuan Huaifeng used to hate her, but after thinking about it after this period, he felt calmer and said to Lin Qijun, don't be too angry. I think she also has her own difficulties. The third brother is too young, she is the only one. Women don't know how to make money, so of course they have to hold on to whatever money they can get. Our two families are different. Your family has been a long-standing businessman with a strong foundation. My father is a poor soldier who relied on guns to make a living. To be honest, most of his money was stolen during his lifetime, and most of it was secretly stolen by his subordinates after he left. Most of the remaining stocks were not cashable. He holds shares in many companies and shops and receives dividends every year. This is because people rely on his power and give him shares as protection fees. Now that he is no longer the commander, these incomes will of course disappear. In addition to the big house in Guangdong, Niang also has some cash in bank books, but I'm afraid she won't be able to get more. Lin Qijun said. You are right, but she is too mean to you after all. After a moment of silence, he asked in a low voice, then why don't you come to me? Xuan Huaifeng's mind suddenly flashed. And without thinking, he asked, why don't you come to me? After the words came out of his mouth, he felt that his tone was too aggressive, and he had the intention of launching an attack. On the contrary, it was very embarrassing. Both of them lowered their heads silently and didn't speak for a while. Xuan Huaifeng was bored for a long time before he said in a gentle tone. I went to your home to look for you. Aunt Lin said that you were working in Hangzhou and didn't know when you would come back. I asked her to give her a phone number and address. She only said that you were a young man who was running around with no fixed place to go, and you didn't know your phone number. You can guess how embarrassing it was. She just didn't ask me to break up with you. In this case, it will be too boring if I keep pestering you. Lin Qijun's face was filled with sadness. Is there such a thing? She has been hiding it from me, and she also said she didn't know the news about your family. Xuan Huaifeng said, I'm very surprised when I mention this. Although my family is poor, I have never offended her. When I went to your house in the past, my aunt was very kind. Why do you suddenly want me to have no contact with you forever? Like? Lin Qijun suddenly fell silent. Xuan Huaifeng asked strangely, what happened? Lin Qijun was silent for an unusually long time. Xuan Huaifeng turned to face him and asked several questions before he moved his eyes to Xuan Huaifeng's face, looked at it carefully, and said carefully, there is one thing I want to ask you. But please don't be angry with me. Xuan Huaifeng said, just ask. A gentleman is magnanimous. What is there to be angry about? Lin Qijun hesitated for a while, gritted his teeth and asked him. At that time, why did you suddenly go to the UK to study? Xuan Huaifeng stiffened. What do you mean by asking this? Lin Qijun said. You promised not to be angry. Xuan Huaifeng held the bed with his hands, sat up and faced Lin Qijun. Please tell me clearly. What do you mean by asking this? Lin Qijun saw that his cheeks were flushed with anger, which was extremely touching. He immediately softened his heart and regretted that he had said the wrong thing. He quickly took a breath and said softly, don't be angry. If I had known this, I wouldn't have asked. This sentence really doesn't mean anything. It's just that you suddenly went to study in the UK. It's so unusual that you left so quickly. It's inevitable that some people will be suspicious and spread rumors about you. Xuan Huaifeng asked, "What rumors are you spreading?" Lin Qijun said, "Those people are full and chewing their tongues. If you don't know what's best, why do you keep asking and making yourself feel uncomfortable?" Xuan Huaifeng said, "Dear mother-in-law, don't say half of what you say. Tell me everything you hear." The handsome outline showed a stubbornness that would never give up. Lin Qijun had no choice but to tell him. "They said that you spent the night with someone in the room and your father bumped into you. They were afraid of making the family scandal public. So they immediately sent you to England." Xuan Huaifeng's brows almost knitted together. "Why did you spend the night in the room with someone? Please tell me clearly, who is that person? Who said I spent the night with someone else? Who could be so disgusting?" Lin Qijun said, "How do I know who started this kind of thing?" Xuan Huaifeng looked at him and it was obvious that he still had something to say. He said with a cold face, "If you have something to say, just say it. Don't hide it from me. I don't know about this matter. Now that I know it, I must investigate it to the end. Yes, people outside are spreading rumors about me. Can't I just want to know what's going on?" Lin Qijun regretted mentioning this matter very much, and was chased and questioned by Xuan Huaifeng. Finally, he had to confess everything and said, "After you went to England, there were many rumors, and I don't know who started spreading them. About you that night, I was not alone in the hotel, but with a boy. As you know, those rich concubines like to gossip about you most, and some of them talk about you vividly, as if they saw it with their own eyes. I spent money to buy a boy who is an apprentice in the troupe." "Why are you talking about that?" He paused and whispered, "My mother, Mrs. Zheng, and several concubines are poker friends. They would inevitably talk about it when they got together. So my mother believed it. Huaifeng, I told you, don't be angry, okay?" He caressed Xuan Huaifeng's face intimately. Xuan Huaifeng turned his face sideways and didn't speak for a long time. He seemed angry or stunned. "For a long time," he said without any strength, "I see in your heart. I'm afraid you are also thinking that there may be no reason for the groundless rumors?" Lin Qijun suddenly stopped and asked displeased, "Ly, I tell you the truth. But you are suspicious of me?" The air suddenly became stagnant. At this time, the door was suddenly knocked twice. Lin Qijun was deeply grateful that someone came to the rescue. He quickly coughed and stood up, and said in a loud voice, "Please come in." The door opened and it turned out to be Lao Hu, the driver of the Lin family. When Lin Qijun saw it was him, he asked with a sullen face, "Why are you here at this time? I am already sick, how can I withstand your deliberate hunger?" After being scolded, Lao Hu laughed and said, "How can I be so brave? It's just laziness in the kitchen." One moment he said there was no fresh snakehead fish, and the other moment he said the porridge must be boiled for enough time, so he took his time. "You see, I sent it as soon as it was done. I stepped on the accelerator just now. I was parked downstairs, and I was so anxious that I almost bumped into Mr. Pai's car." "What? Whose car did you bump into?" "My car." Bai Xuelan's voice suddenly interrupted. As he spoke, he walked into the ward and greeted Lin Qijun with a smile. "I'm here to visit." When Lin Qijun saw it was him, his attitude was very good. "Thank you for your trouble. Huaifeng is feeling better now. I also wanted to apologize to you. But I left you behind in a hurry yesterday." Bai Xuelan said with a pun, "It doesn't matter, you and Huaifeng are childhood sweethearts. So our friendship is naturally incomparable to mine." He walked to the ward, looked around, and pulled the only chair in front of Lin Qijun. "You are the master here, so of course this is your throne. As for me, I would like to sit here for a while, wouldn't you mind?" Before Lin Qijun could speak, he was already sitting beside Xuan Huaifeng's bed without any courtesy at all. Xuan Huaifeng's eyes widened with anger at his presumptuous look. He immediately moved away, turned around and frowned and asked, "How can anyone visit a patient and sit on the patient's bed? Please go away a little, I'm not used to it. Such an open French style." Lin Qijun didn't expect Xuan Huaifeng to be so rude to Bai Xuelan in person, so he quickly stopped him and said, "Huaifeng, there are no chairs in the room. You are sick and in such a bad mood." Bai Xuelan raised his lips, squinted his eyes at Xuan Huaifeng, and said with a chuckle, "He has always been like this to me. Whether he is sick or not. Do you think he is as affectionate to everyone as he is to you?" Xuan Huaifeng listened to the bones in his words, and his neck turned slightly red with annoyance. He pursed his lips and turned his face away. Lao Hu took advantage of the confrontation between the three of them and walked to the small table to open the lunchbox. Took out the porcelain bowl and boiled it, spooned the hot porridge in it, brought it over and said, "Master Xuan, eat some while it's hot, there's black in it. Fish fillets are very healthy." Bai Xuelan sat on the edge of the bed calmly. Even though he was treated coldly by Xuan Huaifeng, he still had no intention of getting up. When he saw Lao Hu bringing the porridge, he clicked his tongue, "This is so hot. How can the patient hold a bowl? It's not fun if it's spilled. I'll feed him." He took the bowl from Lao Hu's hand. Lin Qijun already felt that something was wrong and said quickly, "Xuelan, stop joking. You are a visiting guest. How come you are doing such a thing of waiting on others? Give up your place and I will feed him." He stretched out his hand. "Come and take the bowl from Bai Xuelan's hand." Bai Xuelan laughed and said, "Whoever feeds you is not feeding. Doesn't the food you feed smell better? Let me see if you have any ecstasy on your hands." Xuan Huaifeng was already impatient and shouted angrily, "Stop feeding me. I won't eat anything." He opened the quilt and lay down, covering his head and face in the quilt. When he lay like this, the two old classmates felt that it was very boring. Bai Xuelan stopped nagging, gave the bowl to Lin Qijun, stood up and gave up his seat next to the bed. But Xuan Huaifeng's temper was already rising. Lin Qijun called out several times. But Xuan Huaifeng never responded. Lin Qijun had no choice but to put the bowl away and plan to feed Xuan Huaifeng later. Although Bai Xuelan was bored, he had no intention of leaving. He seemed to be staying here deliberately to waste time. Seeing Xuan Huaifeng lying on the bed protesting silently, he simply had a wordless chat with Lin Qijun. "Have you seen the doctor and found out what's wrong? Actually, it's because he was cold and didn't know how to take care of him. His health is not good. And he becomes seriously ill when he gets sick. In addition, he is also said to be a little malnourished." "What medicine was prescribed? Are there any dietary restrictions?" Lin Qijun found it strange when he asked such detailed questions, but since it was an old classmate who asked, he told him everything the doctor had told him. Bai Xuelan sighed, thought for a while, and asked, "I wonder which doctor you are looking for." "Dr. Lin here is a distant cousin of mine. He has very good medical skills," Bai Xuelan said. "Since we are relatives, it is naturally very good." The two chatted for a while, and Lin Qijun felt strange and couldn't help but ask, "Don't you have any business to do today?" Bai Xuelan was very shrewd and immediately asked with a smile, "This question is very grand, as if I was serving tea to see off guests. Should I get up and say goodbye?" Lin Qijun felt embarrassed, waved his hand and said, "Misunderstanding, misunderstanding. We are old classmates, asking for nothing. You are so worried." Bai Xuelan then explained, "Actually, there is a reason why I stay here." Lin Qijun showed a questioning look. Bai Xuelan said, "Although Huaifeng and I are not on good terms, we still have contact after all. Not only with him, but also with his sister and brother-in-law. We have only met in the past few days. Think about it, if Huaifeng is ill, if I don't notify Mrs. Xuan. I was afraid that she would blame me in the future, so I called Nian house early in the morning and asked her to come and visit. This was my duty as a friend. It will be here soon. In that case, of course I will stay here with you so that I won't be unable to find my place when I arrive. Lin Qijun understood. That's it. I used to know his sister very well. And we often met her in my hometown when she was not married. I know she married here, but I don't know the exact information and can't contact her. Her husband's surname is Nian? Well, I seem to have this impression too. After saying a few more words, the rapid click of high heels on the floor came from the corridor, heading straight towards them. The ward where Xuan Huaifeng is located is the innermost one on this floor. If anyone comes here, it seems they are here. Upon hearing the sound, Bai Xuelan and Lin Qijun both guessed that it was Huaifeng's sister who came. The two of them stood up together and looked towards the door. Sure enough, Xuan Daiyan appeared at the door soon, wearing a green satin cheongsam and holding a small satchel in her hand. She rushed to the door and poked her head around. When she saw Bai Xuelan, she immediately understood that she was in the right place and nodded to Bai Xuelan. Say hello and walk in anxiously. Zhang Ma followed her. Lin Qijun quickly said hello, Sister Daiyan. Long time no see. Xuan Daiyan was in a hurry to go to the bedside to see Xuan Huaifeng. When she suddenly heard Lin Qijun talking, she suddenly stopped and looked at Lin Qijun, a little surprised. Isn't this Qijun? When did you come to the capital? Thank you for your kindness and come here to visit us in Huaifeng. Mindful of her brother's illness, she left Lin Qijun behind after saying a few words. Xuan Huaifeng was hiding in the quilt and had heard the noise a long time ago. At this time, he lifted the quilt and sat up. Sister. Xuan Daiyan hurried over and held his hand. You kid, you are so anxious. You are so sick and yet you don't even say a word to me. Fortunately, Mr. Pai was so kind and gave me a call. Otherwise I would still be in the dark. Xuan Huaifeng glanced at Bai Xuelan bitterly and said in a low voice, why does he care so much about my affairs? It's so easy to make you so anxious. If Xuan Daiyan hadn't seen her younger brother sick, she would have really wanted to pinch him and scold him softly. You, the dog bit Lu Dongbin, you are sick. And someone notified your family. Is this wrong? When will you know? What's the point? Zhang Ma, who was nearby, looked Xuan Huaifeng up and down before interjecting, my lady. Please stop teaching him a lesson. The young master is ill. You don't feel sorry for him, just ask him. Sick? Look. You're so thin that you don't have any flesh on your face. She reached out and touched Xuan Huaifeng's face. In front of Bai Xuelan. Xuan Huaifeng felt very uncomfortable when his face was touched by Zhang Ma like a child. He shrank his neck and avoided Zhang Ma's hand. I'm much better. I haven't lost any weight at all. Bai Xuelan came over and comforted Xuan Daiyan and said, don't worry, Mrs. Nian, Huaifeng only catches a cold occasionally. It was originally a trivial matter. But because no one took care of it, it became a big problem. In addition, his nutrition must be supplemented. Here Dr. Lin prescribed medicine for him. Methodically, he conveyed to Xuan Daiyan word for word what Lin Qijun told him just now. Xuan Daiyan listened carefully and said gratefully, Mr. Pai, you have taken great care of our Huaifeng. I don't know how to thank you. She took Xuan Huaifeng's hand and said, brother, you have inherited the family's inheritance. You should remember the kindness in your heart and always repay others in the future. Xuan Huaifeng was so sick that he just wanted to vomit blood. If he embarrassed Bai Xuelan in person again, he would definitely be blamed by his sister, so he had to turn around and glare at Lin Qijun. Lin Qijun also looked embarrassed and shrugged helplessly. Zhang Mama was even more grateful to Bai Xuelan. In her mind, it was this person who rescued the young master from the street. She asked Bai Xuelan respectfully, "Master Pai, is that Dr. Lin a Chinese medicine practitioner?" Xuan Huaifeng didn't want Bai Xuelan to confuse Zhang Mama, so he rushed to say, "Zhang Mama, this is a Western hospital. And the doctor is of course a Western medicine doctor." Zhang Mama said, "Oh, Western medicine is not good. I heard people say that Western medicine can be very cruel. They stick needles into living people." Lin Qijun was left aside and took the opportunity to intervene and said, "You can't say that. Western medicine has the advantages of Western medicine. Besides, doesn't Chinese medicine just insert needles into living people? Acupuncture uses needles." Zhang Mama said sternly, "Young Master Lin, it's not that I don't know the heights of the world. So I dare to refute your words. This is different. Acupuncture uses needles to prick the meridians. It's something passed down by our ancestors. Western medicine makes acupuncture. I heard that you have to pump water in. Oops. Yes, there are also ones that draw out human blood." Xuan Huaifeng was afraid that Lin Qijun would not be able to step down, so he quickly said, "Zhang Ma, don't be nagging me. I haven't had acupuncture now. Why do you care about this?" "Yeah, stop nagging," Xuan Dian said to Zhang Ma, then turned to Xuan Huaifeng and said, "After this time, I have thought it through. Don't frown, I will definitely give it to you today. It's up to you. You are not allowed to live in the Tong Ren Club anymore. And you are not allowed to live anywhere else. I will take you home today." Xuan Huaifeng sighed in distress. Xuan Dian said decisively, "Don't waste your time, I won't change my mind. You are lucky this time, and you happen to meet Mr. Pai. You are alone outside like this. And you don't know how to take care of yourself when you are sick and stay alone. Do you want to break my heart to pieces like this? Or do you feel in your heart that I am not worthy of being your sister and taking care of you?" Lin Qijun saw Xuan Huaifeng's unwillingness and tried to persuade him, "Sister Dian, at least let Huaifeng stay in the hospital for a few days until his condition stabilizes." Xuan Dian turned her head and smiled politely at him, "Master Lin, I know that you and my family have a very good friendship. It's not that I don't accept your opinion, but there are many patients in the hospital, which makes it easier to get sick. At home, Zhang Mama and I are dedicated to taking care of the soup and water. Isn't it better than the hospital? To tell you the truth, our old man didn't believe in Western medicine." Bai Xuelan said, "It's best to take her home. No one can take better care of me than my sister. But in my opinion, the Western medicine prescribed by the doctor should be taken on time. It is not an injection or surgery. It is the same as the pills of traditional Chinese medicine. Isn't it enough to eat?" Xuan Dian was very considerate to Bai Xuelan, nodded and said, "You are right." As a result, Xuan Dian and Zhang Ma took the sick Xuan Huaifeng back to Nian House that day. Xuan Huaifeng and Lin Qijun reunited after a long absence. And they both thought they could spend a few days in private, and this single ward could be considered a little sweet paradise. This time, everything was disrupted by Bai Xuelan.